thanks for that Prime Gaming sub. We see you.
Welcome back, Smite fans. I'm Mifflin hosting because I suppose Dave decided to start his vacation a little bit early. What a loser. You'd think we'd give him a little bit more work. Can't do it alone, though. I'm here with Charlie Relly on the desk. But before we get into all that, let's break down our new title sponsor, Prime Gaming. Yeah, you already saw the games you can get. There's a ton of them. But if those are not the only benefits, you can get free shipping. There are shows out there, all sorts of things. Use a Prime sub. Do whatever you want. But just make sure you're making use of those, and if you haven't already got Amazon Prime, make sure you're picking it up right now. Trelly, you got to watch that last set, right?
We see you, yeah.
What? No, that's the Prime thing.
I thought you were still doing the Prime thing.
I said, and I quote, you got to watch the last set. Chat heard it. Right. That means we're talking about the Hounds.
No, it was a great set.
Okay, all right. I guess we could tie that back into the Prime thing. Exclusive content. Make sure you're checking it out. There you go. Now are you willing to talk about the games
I
a
would
little
love
bit?
to. You're going to ask me a question about the games?
Yeah. How did the Hounds win?
They went nuts. I mean, a little bit in the early game. Like we said, it looked like the Wardens brought their action, but Dude Membro got Artemis to late game. Oath was looking solid the whole time on the Tsukuyomi, and they pretty much just stalled out. Moswell and Sino really were.
Go on.
It's so hard to do this when Mifflin is just staring daggers at me. We all saw it. They just had a really strong late game, and they stalled long enough to where that comp could come online. The Wardens brought it, but they just weren't able to make the whole way to that late game stage.
So let's get a look back at how exactly we rounded up exactly where we are. It's the Solar Scarabs up against the Eldritch Hounds in this set. Winner advances and meets up with the Valhalla Valkyries in week 2. Loser goes home, as losers tend to do. It's been a very quick lineup, but we might as well start with the talent that we've seen plenty of times before, the Solar Scarabs. I'm thinking they probably have the advantage here, obviously tenured within the league, but I don't know, some iffy matches, a little bit of stumbles around objectives, maybe some over chases. I'm expecting them to clean it up, but what do you want to see them improve on most?
I mean, they're coming off an 0-2 loss to the Valks, right? So they have to be a little underconfident. They better be bringing their spirits up. It looks like Scream's taking a nap there. So I would love to see just great late-game team fights from the Scarabs. That's really their main issue right now. They find those early leads. It's just what happens about 15 minutes in, they always choke.
So early game, the name of the game for the Solar Scarabs, and generally they're able to draft their way into that point, but we don't have to hypothesize. We don't need to guess what the Solar Scarabs are going to do. On the desk, it's about analysis and P's and B's. We're going to jump right in. Solar Scarabs in your first pick position, the Hounds up in the second pick. I'm expecting a lot of just standard bans in the first phase, best of 3 up against the SCC. The Solar Scarabs strike me as a squad that don't generally do their homework, especially when they're feeling confident. And having spoken to Bobby earlier today, he's got everything, including confidence.
I knew this Baka ban had to be coming, though, because they've been here. They can't do their homework when they're actually in the studio. Essentially, they are forced to watch these games. They weren't allowed to leave.
We have computers. There are TVs broadcasting the games in the entirety of the building.
The pun was homework. They're not home. They're here. That's what my point is.
What?
They can't.
That's a thinker.
Yeah, I got plenty. They can't go home and just turn their brains off. They've been in the studio waiting for their next match, and they had to see Oath popping off on this Bakasura. So I think a smart call to ban that one away. If you don't know what to deal with it, if you don't want to say, hey, they're going to AFK farm and we want to force them to fight, just ban that away. You don't have to deal with it. Yeah,
so Bakasura, one of the best at just clearing out those buffs and making sure that the jungler is at least on pace or ahead of, which is really threatening for the enemy jungler. It's never a great feeling to press tab and just realize, sure, I've got a couple of kills, but I'm still 2-3 levels down. Golden Blade Bakasura has bumped himself back into the meta. Checking in with the rest of the bans, Yamoja from the Solar Scarabs, and the Hounds have already removed Bologna and Kleena, 2 picks that have really made a resurgence recently. Bologna in particular, I was surprised to see. I mean, I know it's a hunter meta. The double hunter compositions galore, disarm plus block stacks really adds up. But what are you seeing from the Bologna that's really putting a threat on these teams?
It's just lane dominance right now. If you are going to pick something like the Hades, for example, anything that just wants to clear the wave and then get to the late game starter item upgrade, where you can say, hey, I'm a Bumba's Hammer user now, that sort of thing. You don't want to deal with Bologna, who essentially just wins lane for free and puts you behind. So I think that's going to be a smart ban as well. Jing Wei actually made her way through the bans, which is something very rare, extremely safe in that lane, and just brings so much extra crit damage past like 20 minutes. You don't want to let that through, but the Hounds grab Baron and Nemesis, so I think they were expecting that Jingwei to get through.
Baron Somni should be able to afford the Hounds. A little bit of flex potential. Has got 3 roles that I think he's found his home in very comfortably. Mid, solo, and support. So the Hounds going to keep the Solar Scarabs guessing at least a little bit in their P's and B's. But the Scarabs, undeterred, are moving through this draft phase incredibly quickly. Jingwei now flanked by Tsukiyomi and Erlong Shen. With Tsukiyomi locked in, you got to talk about mid lane potential, jungle potential, but I'm really curious about this Erlong. Now having seen Tsukiyomi, where do you think that goes?
I mean, we already saw Inbound play the Erlong Shen support earlier today. It looked fine, and I think
it looked okay.
It seems to me like Bobby does. If anything is in the meta besides Umoja, he's just not. He doesn't want anything to do with it. So he's going to be playing Erlong Shen, trying to W key. He doesn't have to go to him. Of course, we've seen Scream pilot that as well, and if we're in all honesty, Tsukiyomi has also been in the solo lane, so there's a few different ways this could go, and honestly, I'm not sure the Solar Scarabs have exact roles for it just yet, waiting to see how this draft plays out. Athena has been locked in. Quig has looked so solid on this. It's been banned away from him the vast majority of the time. That global presence that Athena brings, usually people don't want to deal with, but the Solar Scarabs are going to let that one slide through, so now we have the front line of the Hounds already locked in here.
Yeah, the Athena support with Baron Samdi in the soul lane is a very potent combo the Hounds have been going back towards. You drop that life to the party, you pull somebody into a Defender of Olympus, you're taking less damage, constantly applying damage, getting that CC stun at the tail end, and then Athena dunks down, very scary to deal with, and it also, again, just having global presence is never a bad thing. Acts as a primary initiator for your team, so the front line, as you said, for the Hounds cleaned up, so the Solar Scarab's going to take eyes towards the ADC. Artemis removed from the table, and the Hounds, they've watched the Solar Scarabs, and when I think of Baronic, 2 gods generally stand out, the Charybdis and the Yanis, the god of portals and transitions, removed, and King Arthur going to match up there. I'm taking a peek at the Solar Scarabs draft holistically. Jingwei, late game scaling. Tsukiyomi should act as a bridge, and with Erlong Shen probably hedging our bets towards support, considering Inbound's played it once already. This is a very aggressive early game composition, but it feels like to me they're lacking something. What would you say that is?
I mean, they're trying to find some CC, but Erlong Shen is really the only one that's bringing it here. I'm surprised that the Hounds didn't ban AMC, but looking at the draft, not too much magic damage so far. Trying to get a mage in that mid lane could be the option here, so they might want to go for more of those team fight-based ultimates, right? As it stands, you have your late game sort of covered with Jingwei. I mean, that's not all your late game damage, but when you have one, yeah, that's pretty much all you need, right? So now you're just looking for that early pressure. Erlong Shen is going to bring that, and Tsukiyomi, as you mentioned, could act as a bridge, pretty strong in the mid to early as well, so not having to worry about that. I'm thinking a big mage here, right? We've seen Zhang Kui already. Didn't really work out, but it looks like Charybdis will just be taken away. The Hounds are going to grab that one. So if there was any thought about a Hunter going into mid lane for Baronic, it's got to be the Chiron or the AMC. I still think, though, they got to be looking towards a mage.
Yeah, if it's going to be a Hunter, you got to assume it's probably the AMC just because of the defense shred on Stinger. Already with 3 physicals locked in, the Solar Scarabs limited a little bit in the efficacy of a Quadro physical composition. The Hounds take Charybdis for themselves. It almost acts as a pseudo-ban, right? I mean, you know that Baronic wants to go towards that pick. I had the opportunity to talk with him a little bit beforehand, and he said, yeah, I was thinking about the Charybdis. I really wanted to lock it in, but my team talked me out of it. Instead, landed on that AMC. The Solar Scarabs going to try and shore up some of those shortcomings that you were bringing up a little bit earlier. AoE damage lacking slightly. I think Zhang Kui, as you highlighted, one that could really help out a lot in some of these late-game team fights. But there is a counter matchup already on the other side. The Hounds with this Nemesis could just answer Zhang Kui ultimate with Nemesis ultimate every single time, shredding additional defense, making that Nemesis even stronger. So the Solar Scarabs taking a bit of their time here to think about their draft. Jing Shen should help out a lot with some of that initiation. It was a bit one note beforehand. Erlong Shen with a 9-turn blessing. The only one. But I saw your look over there. What's that ESET say to you?
I was thinking Morgan Le Fay maybe might be the option here, but that did answer our team fight ultimate question and CC with the Xing Chen. So they were looking about that right away. Neath is going to be the answer back here. So they will. The Hounds are going for that double Hunter style of composition with, we can only assume. Actually, they both have some flex potential, but more often than not, Neath in that mid lane. Obviously, Arub Crimson has played it before, and you usually expect the Mannequin Scepter full nuke build, but that's not how he likes to do things. He goes the Gilded Arrow, Dev Gauntlet, just builds Neath as a regular auto attack character. that also brings some global presence as well with the World Weaver.
And having Neath in mid makes it so much easier to apply that global presence to both side lanes. Having looked at both compositions now, the early game seems to be the answer for the Solar Scarabs, as it so often is. But what portion of the game do you think this Hounds draft is going to play best at?
I mean, looking at the comps, you're trying to get Double Hunter online. That seems to be the name of the game. The Solar Scarabs have proven they can get ahead against just about anyone. But who are they going to out-team fight in the late game? More often than not, the answer is no one. They've been, time and time again, they've been fumbling, man.
They are fumblers. They fumble.
That's what I'm saying. It's not that they can't do it. We just have seen this time and time again. So the answer is, are you going to let this Double Hunter come get online where they should be beating you? They got to bring the action early.
But the Solar Scarabs have got some pretty good answers to that early game presence. I mean, you've got the E set for objective play. You've got the shred as well. So I think they have opportunities to push that lead throughout the early. Would you put a timer on this composition? Because I feel like the initiation still pretty strong for a late game team fight.
Yeah, they have the Xing Chen for the Double Hunter come to stop those auto attacks. They have tons of CC with the Whirlwind of Rage and Steel, as well as the 9 turns Blessing. And then they've got Jingwei to hard carry. So I don't think this is a comp where you have to win early against Double Hunter, but it certainly would help.
I think so. If you had to say, just pick one real quickly, are you favoring one of these compositions over the other? Team names removed. Don't even worry about who's playing it. Just comps.
I have to give a lot of presence to Jingwei right now. I just think the free crit is a little bit too much to give up. So if you are going to be banning other things in presence, you better be shutting down that Jingwei. They have some answers, but she simply outboxes everyone right now.
She does, and has some of those great scaling auto attacks. Explosive Bolts really synergizes incredibly well with this new crit Kin-size style of build, which is something I personally never thought I'd get the opportunity to talk about. Generally in the past, it's Kin-size is good, you build Kin-size tank shred. Crit's good, you're just building crit. But now these hunters have figured out a way to incorporate both, and the Solar Scarab's going to look to push that lead throughout the early game. The Hounds, though, have got a composition that should be able to scale come late. Are there any points of their composition that you're concerned about getting to that late game point? Where are the Solar Scarabs going to put their aggression is what I wanted to ask you, but we won't have the opportunity because the game's starting up, and a special treat ready for you fans at home. Let's get it over to Hindu Man and Blazy Bar.
Thank you very much, Chair 1 Mifflin. what a thing to witness. Thank you very much. Welcome to game number 1 of our final set for today, ladies and gentlemen. The Solar Scarabs and the Eldritch Hounds going head-to-head for that last spot through to next week.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm excited to see how both these teams do, because Eldritch Hounds, for me, are probably the SPL waiting room is what I want to call them. But all these guys on this team have shown through this phase that they are waiting in the wings to potentially take a spot of an SPL team that struggles and looks for a replacement. Oath, to name one. Quig, Crimson also looking pretty good. And Dudeman Bro, who's stepping up when you need him to in a meta where carries are the focal point here. Where especially with what's been going on lately, we know that the carry is the biggest consequential person on the team. But what can they do with it? You know, can they protect them? Can they get in the wiggle room? And, well, how do they shut down Stuart? That's my concern.
Yeah, that's definitely the question. I think Quig's got a pretty good initial start to an answer here on this Athena. It's got a lot of potential to catch up with Stuart. Doesn't have a knockup that will enable Stuart to get out of there very easily. But definitely the question is Stuart, right? This is the big hurdle that the Eldritch Hounds have to come across. And looking across the map, though, as well, Hindu, we've got this Erlang Shen over here on the right lane in that solo position. Not a pick that we've seen in that solo lane for quite a while.
Not too much. I was wondering how scared he would start off with his build this time. Going for the Death's Toll start, it seems. What I maybe would like to see is a little bit of anti-heal in there in the long run. Maybe, of all the anti-heal items, maybe a Toxic Blade would help out a little bit to reduce some of this in the laning phase. But realistically, Baron doesn't really like having people up in his face for the most part. And that's kind of what Erlang Shen's going to do in that lane, is try and keep the pressure rolling in the early game and then wait for these team fights where those pins could really come into play.
Very true. Oath trying to get some damage on the board here. Baronic is going to take the brunt of that, falling down to half HP here. But just going back to that real quick, Graham, we've been seeing in this solo lane, when we've been seeing these kind of auto-attack based warriors, they've been leaning more towards that Golden Blade. This time around, Scary D trying to prioritize the Genjis. Sorry, not the Genjis, the Shoguns in this first slot.
Yeah, and the Shogun's Polykasari may come into play. Obviously, it'll help out with Scream as well, not Tsukiyomi, and of course Stuart in the team fights. However, the one thing that you're going to get from that is survivability in the lane is what you're looking at a little bit more there too. Hang on, blinking mid from Oath.
Scream is really close to his tower though, does force out the beads thanks to the beautiful route from a Rep Crimson.
Yeah, the blink a bit awkward there. Let's say Stuart could be in trouble here.
Uses the dash already. Dude, man, bro, just got to find a few auto attacks, but doesn't quite have the movement speed to catch up to Stuart. That dash does give Jingwei a little bit of extra MS to play with there, so able to get away. But Quig, I don't think he has the damage here, but definitely going to put Stuart in a bad spot. The curse is dropped by inbound. But Quig still in a bad spot and has to back away.
Don't know if he needed the curse there at the tail end, but a bit of backup again. Now we're going to fight on the right-hand side here. Scaredy and Scream try and get towards Oath, who was looking for a bit of an invade down the right-hand side. Pressure relieved, though, as the Scarabs get it back. But I think the biggest thing we can see so far, Blaze, and we've seen all week, to be honest, is that there are a lot of situations where even the casters are like, these guys should die here. But they don't, just because the pools are a little bit healthier than they used to be. And it takes a little bit more investment to find that kill in the early game.
Yeah, absolutely. That 40% buff there, everyone and everything's health pool is definitely, I think, still a learning curve. There's a lot of muscle memory involved in this high-level Smite that these players have got to get out of the habit of. And for the most part, that's kind of there already. You're not seeing too much overcommitment so far. I think we've seen maybe 1 or 2 tower dives, a Phoenix dive on Wednesday as well, I think it was, from one of the junglers diving into that Phoenix really early on into the game and paying with it, paying for their lives with it.
Yeah, and the one thing about that is you'll learn from experience. You get hit by the Phoenix once, you'll be like, okay, maybe not. Maybe don't go for that again. So yeah, tower aggro is going to be a bit more of an important part, I'd say, this year, at least for the time being. Tanks will have to juggle aggro a little bit better. They can't just sit there and eat 15,000 shots like they used to and still survive and feel healthy enough to continue on. But the difference we're really seeing is it's just kind of slowed down the dive potential a little bit more because of that, and allowing some teams to just tread water is the way I'll put this. And Remakai here in this solo lane right now, you can see he's actually starting to do that against this Erlang Shen, which makes a lot of sense.
A little bit. Scaredy actually pops the ultimate there just to get the heal off so he can stay in lane for a little bit longer. I don't hate that presence of mind for Scaredy. He knows he's not going to have to use the 9 turns blessing in a fight anytime soon. So just using that now, making sure he can stick around a little bit longer, get that gold online. I think he should have enough money in the bank at this point in time to finish off that item, but look at Scream's positioning here, looking to potentially get aggressive onto Remakami. The ultimate should be available for the solo laner here, and Remakami's just going to back away.
Yeah, I just don't think Scarabs knew exactly where Oath was in the jungle and where the pressure was around the map. Athena was kind of just showed a presence in mid. Think they could have collapsed on Remakami there, potentially put a bit of pressure on with the low mana pool he had available to him. At the end of the day, just strip some farm, continue, gone.
Crimson is going to be backing the base here while the rest of the Solar Scarabs group up for that right blue buff. We're going to take that one away in favor of Scary D. While we return back to the neutral game, and Hindu, I got to ask, where is going to be the next point of interest for these two teams?
Honestly, I'm waiting for this Neath to start to come online a little bit more because those World Weavers will come into play as the game continues. And keep an eye on where Oath is, because I feel wherever Oath is, that's where you'll see this World Weaver come through. I think there's a bit of an opportunity in that solo lane at the moment, though, especially, as you just said, Scaredy just using his ultimate there. If I see that happen again, I kind of want to see Remakami here just go, hey, his ult's on cooldown, dude. Let's get some pressure onto this Erlang Shen in the lane a little bit. We've got a nice amount of protection shred with that Nemesis, but also we've got the Baron with the good old Coffin to come into play, and Athena too, when you think about it.
Quig has made his way over here, forced the beads out from Scary D. That is going to trade out 2 ultimates, but I think for now, 5 minutes into the game, they're not going to be too worried about that. That beat's going to be super important, especially if Oath does make that rotation over to the right lane, and it looks like that's what he's thinking of doing.
Well, the thing is, though, Scarabs made a good play there. They see a rotation to the right-hand side, and then they get a purple buff off it, but will Scary D survive?
It's a good question. There's the Divine Retribution coming through from Scary D, but the damage from the towers coming through. Remakami is able to claim that one, but look quickly over to the left-hand side, ladies and gentlemen. Dude Man Bro forced under tower. Solar Scarabs were able to pick up the purple buff, but no kill in return. First blood for the Reds.
So what you see there is Hounds try and pressure right-hand side into Scary D. That opens a window for Scarabs to look at the purple buff. And while they're over there, Scary D still hangs around and gets caught with his pants down with 3 or 4 members there. In all, it's kind of an even trade for the most part. Solo side getting ahead for the Hounds, duo side getting a bit further ahead for the Scarabs. And when you think about the state of the game and what you want to have happen here, Jingwei getting fed, that's what I'm after.
Yeah, absolutely. But Hindu, I want to ask you about this build from Quig here. We've seen a lot of different starts coming out from supports these days that exclude that Gauntlet of Thebes, but the Spirit Robe in the first item slot?
I mean, the big thing with Spirit Robe that's going to really bring you more than anything else is the passive, which is going to just reduce the amount of damage you take while and after you've actually been hit by a hard CC effect, right? So those mitigations come into play when you think about getting hit by Silence, by the Isis. You're going to get inconsequentially hit by some of this CC as an Athena. So buffing those stats a little bit more in the early game, nothing too painful. Plus, it keeps you away from seeing the Hunters go for chins because you're building raw health.
The silence from who?
Isis. I'm still going to say it, dude. Like, listen, I'm just an OG at this point and saying Isis. Isa, jeez, man. We took too long to change it, and then we change it after everything. Okay, here we go.
Well, that being said, coming through into the mid lane.
That's your one, by the way. Next one you mess up on, now I'm calling you on it, just so you know.
Well, I had to take my shot while I had the opportunity.
Oh, yeah, do it. You'll get 2 back.
Inbound getting taunted here under the tower, potentially taking a shot there, but that sky-cutting axe just too strong of an escapability.
Yeah, Scarabs, though, still trying to water in this lane now a level down on this right-hand side. Experience lead is slightly in favor on the duo, as I said. Not on Stuart, though. It's mainly on Inbound, who's been sharing the farm so far and relatively sticking to this left-hand side a little bit more, so protecting Jingwei in this early game and kind of dissuading the Hounds from looking to that side of the map. And I think, as we've mentioned, the carry's been such an important factor in this meta, really trying to make sure that Stuart is comfortable in this lane against Bro is the play, and making sure that he's a little bit ahead where possible.
And there has been absolutely no mention. Oath, though,
danger.
Could be in some trouble. Scream goes in, though, but here's the rotation from Quig. The ultimate comes through. The damage is getting dealt onto Quig, but now Scream on the rotation back. Ramakami has made his way over, trying to fish someone through here. Inbound is going to walk his way into the coffin to make sure that none of his teammates have to deal with that. Oath now getting pinned out by Scary D. Quig in the backline takes a huge chunk from the Spirit Ball, and he's going to be the first sacrifice in this fight. Inbound could follow him down, but no mana available. Blinking forward is Oath, still trying to find the damage, but he's blinked into 4 people, and he's going to have to get out.
Very strange fight on that left-hand side, right-hand side of the map, I should say, because realistically, what was that over? There was nothing in the jungle to really fight over. I will say with that member dropping down, though, in Quig, you saw him take the CC chain, but his pathing was just awkward. I think he could have pathed around the other side. All the while that happened, though, on the left-hand side of the map, Stuart was finding even more farm because of that. He stole away the red buff in the jungle from the Hounds, too, and just allows to keep this pressure and this gold lead mounting for Stuart, which is the biggest focal point. Again, Jingwei, everyone's like, do we want to see Jingwei? No. We've seen a lot of bans towards it, but already establishing more of a lead because of what's going on.
Luckily for Bro, though, not getting too far ahead. Looking at the net worth there, only 200 gold separating the Hunters at the moment. The big deal is that experience lead. Hitting level 12 is going to be the next really big, momentous moment for Stuart. And Bro is getting wrapped around on here. Inbound coming around from the top. Going to go into the Tooth Pool to avoid out that 2. And Inbound shouldn't really have too many tools available to keep on that aggression.
The 2?
The Tooth Pool.
Oh, no, you said the 2 after that.
Did I?
Yeah.
The 2 from Jingchen, the up-down.
Oh, that's what it's called?
Yeah.
The 2. Okay,
two.
good to know. Great casting,
the second ability.
Quality work.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
So with how this game starts up at the moment, though, I'm not surprised by the pace of this at the moment. The Hounds have come out to play this entire week, have managed to find plenty of ground in terms of just identifying what their meta and their playstyle is going to be. And realistically, it really is this sort of, we get aggressive, we peel away, we'll re-sustain a little bit, they'll overextend and go again.
Some problems, has to use the 9 turns. Blessing Oath here along the side, but didn't quite get there in time to deal with the heal. Quig now using that ultimate to try and save the life of his jungler. Has to use that, but there is so much damage coming through. The ultimate coming through now from Scream, trying to deal a little bit more. Quig not really in too much danger now, and with Baronic here, Ramakami just going to keep doing a little bit of poke, but that should be all she wrote.
Yeah, health bar's just a little bit too low on Scarabs to continue fighting, but on the left-hand side, different story.
Once again, Bro under some duress. The washing machine's going to come back from Inbound, and it's not going to matter. Bro is going to fall down here on the left-hand side.
And that's a good example of when we see this Athena rotate to the right-hand side again, you're looking to see what Bobby can do in response. Can he steal away some farm? Can he provide pressure elsewhere on the map? And they've found that again on this left-hand side. All the while, though, Hounds are starting to dictate the pace in the mid lane and the right-hand side a little bit more so. Scarabs falling behind there, but the duo side, different story.
Going back now, just farming around, seeing if they can find anything else. Both of these main objectives have spawned up around both sides of the map. The Pyromancer and Gold Fury are now available for these two teams to try and contest. We've been seeing a lot of priority being given over to that Pyromancer as a first point of contention now. We know that the Eldritch Hounds love going for this Pyromancer in particular. So I would not be surprised to see Oath rotate over here in the next couple minutes to try and get a pick onto Scary D and crack open that objective.
Completely agree, especially with how they've just played that right-hand side of the map so far. They've managed to find enough pressure, not a kill, but enough pressure to open a window to find something off the back of it. And Pyromancer definitely something that's knockable on the door of if it comes into play. There's Bobby in the mid lane now, just looking for a bit of pressure onto Crimson, try to keep him in check. But Crimson's doing okay. It's interesting to see that build, but hold that thought.
Scream's getting dunked onto 1 HP, and there's going to be the kill from Erupt Crimson under the tower now, trying to collapse onto these members. Scary D looking to find Quig and Oath in the jungle hill, but he is on his own, surrounded by 3 members. The taunt back is going to make its purchase, and Scary D is going to use the turtle form to get out. But this is exactly what we were talking about, Hindu. 1 member of the Solar Scarabs has fallen down. The Eldritch Hounds did have a potential play onto the Pyromancer here, but instead looking to get a little bit more aggression onto the mid lane. Stewart is making his way over, though.
Yeah, this Stewart play could actually come into play a bit more so, but look at this on the backside. Parodic under pressure from Oath, just still running him down. Low health, but it's not going to be enough. Meanwhile, Stewart trades with Quig, but he's losing this trade.
He's rooted out and has to go up into the airstrike. Dude Man Bro chasing him down with the Maw. Needs to land that stun, but not quite. The sidestep from Stewart. Keep him safe for now, but the crits from Stewart ripped through his health bar and sent him down.
And that's the Wind Demon coming into play straight away from Stewart being there. I thought she was a little bit aggressive, but I like the fact the Hounds had to back up. Dude Man Bro's rotation in, well, perfect. Trying to find the ult. He was looking for the play on, can I catch them both? And because he went for both, he misses both.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those thread the needles kind of situations. Really have to choose a target there. Remakami now has to be a little bit more careful. There's a little bit more damage on the side of Scary D.
I doubt it.
Not
I mean,
careful in like he's going to die,
well,
but like...
I was going to say, he's got Breastplate and Warlock Staff online now. Like, he's healthy, tanky little boy in that solo lane.
He was getting poked down a little bit, but has that 2 available to him with the heal.
Number
so
2.
He's going to be just
There's
fine.
2 abilities called 2. You started this, by the way. So.
It's true. I did fire the first shot. I've only got myself to blame.
You do.
Looking to find some damage onto
Stewart.
The ultimate from Neath is going to come through, and finally, this little birdie is going bye-bye.
Still, though, Hounds are playing around Athena really well. Quig's doing a good job of finding the right time to try and get into these frays. And I don't think Scarabs have really taken under advisement that Athena could be anywhere a little bit more so. A couple of engagements I've seen now where Scarabs are out of position because they feel they're safe enough when Athena shows up.
Bobby has to use the Sky Cutting Axe to get out, but while the Hounds are all on the left-hand side, it is going to be the Pyromancer taken down, but already looking for this rotation onto the Gold Fury. 4 members are here, and it will take the Scarabs a little bit of time to rotate over. Eset has no ultimate available to her, but the Hounds have been a little bit too slow here, Hindu Man. I don't think they're going to have time to pull the objective.
Yeah, Scarabs are just doing a good job of controlling the pace of the map in terms of the major objectives. Finding that Pyro on the right-hand side, stealing Purple Buff when there's fights on the other side of the map too. What's going on in mid?
Scream might be getting pulled in here, but nice use of the ultimate just to immune out that pullback.
crit!
Crimson
The
is
crit!
getting crit
Oh,
out. Stewart with the airstrike takes down 1, but Scream gonna get answered back. Quig and Ramakami trying desperately to get back to the tower. Good heal from Ramakami to save the life of the support, but he is still getting pressured down. 1 more auto should find it. Stewart dashing forward, and the heal isn't gonna save him this time. Stewart falls down, but the stun onto inbound might set him up for some more damage, but Dude Man Bro going to escape back under that tier 2 tower.
Gold Fury could be available for the Scarabs here, but with 2 of them being on the right side around this speed buff, probably not a possibility. Speed is attempted to be stolen away there, but Oath will, as a proper jungler should, make sure the most important buff to a jungler in the game is around his waist.
Absolutely. Dude Man Bro over on the left-hand side trying to get that purple buff while the Scorpion is taken away here towards that Fire Giant part of the map. Inbound doesn't really look like he's taking too much damage from this Charybdis, but there's the ultimate from Erupt Crimson to set him up. And I don't know that Dude Man Bro could possibly drop this kill, especially with Quig's ultimate here. Surely the dash and the taunt will finish it up. Ultimate tries to keep him alive. but isn't quite going to work out. Scary D here on the right-hand side, gonna get finished up by his slice and dice, seemingly through the wall.
Yeah, I know if they're just getting a bit more of a power spike. That executioner coming into play as well. The extra protection just rips through Scary before he can get to the fact of getting his heal through. And now Scream in a lot of trouble.
Surrounded by 3. I
Maybe
don't
one
know
for
that
one.
he does have his ultimate available to him. Oath using that shield so effectively for the heal. Scream lands straight down into the Baron heal and then straight down into the ground.
This is really good from the Hounds, though. Just continuing on this right-hand side to keep the pressure going. They know Stuart's going to be a problem as the game goes on, but they're keeping this pivot point on the right-hand side of the map the whole time. I'm finding a lot of success there now. Look at it, Scary D Scream, just 0-2, 0-3 on this right-hand side. We talk about Scream so far, not really seeing him make too much of an impact elsewhere on the map other than this mid right-hand side of the map. You can clearly see that the Scarabs are really losing control on that half.
He has been super quiet. 0-3 on the board for the jungler, the Solar Scarabs. They are still, well, I was about to say they're still ahead in gold, but it's basically net even, about 500 gold in it. That tower will make it a little bit closer to 1,000. The Eldritch Hounds showing that they are not afraid to go toe-to-toe with this SPL team. They are looking a lot more confident than they did this morning.
Yeah, a little surprised that we see the tier 1 tower in mid and right-hand side fall for the Scarabs there. I guess they're not too worried about having that map position against them now, because those 2 towers being down really opens up even more control on this right-hand side of the map around the FG. And if Eldritch Hounds find a window there, they could look for an early Fire Giant, but they would need Dooban Bro there to assist.
It is something that they like going for, right? They really enjoy going for that surprise. It's way too early. Fire Giant Stuart, though, might find an advantage against Dooban Bro here, dashing in, trying to find some of that damage. The dash isn't available for Stuart, but here comes Quig, and here's ultimate. Erupt Crimson's waiting for him on the ground, but it's going to be taken by Inbound with the immunity from that ultimate. Dooban Bro now has next to nothing available for him, is able to use the Aegis to stop the lasers from connecting. Quig is going to fall down here. Surely not! He's going to make it out of there, and Oath now still looking to fight. He
Scream's
is
dead.
in no man's land. Scream is going to fall down here to Erupt Crimson, and one more kill is traded. Either way, as Stuart might be the next target. The reach from Quig is going to finish that one up, and Oath is going to get healed up here before Scary D has a chance to put him down.
And the Scarabs just take too long finding kills on this right-hand side to bring down Dooman Bro. It allows the Hounds to 4-man rotate in to support him, and because of that, the extra sustain that comes through comes into play and opens the door. I would like to see a Gold Fury here. I'm surprised I'm not seeing one from the Hounds. I guess they're worried about not having the carry to really get the burst damage off of this objective, but I do think there was a bit of a window there. Maybe just force Bobby, force Scary D to have to defend and find another pick. But at the end of the day, it was a good fight from the Hounds again. It was the first time we really see Scarabs work as a unit towards the left-hand side to support Stuart. Stuart was really feeling himself, though. He's starting to get to grips, but
really is.
It wasn't good enough. I really like how Stuart played his ultimate, though. The World Weaver was coming through, and he uses his ult and hangs in the air for as long as possible, because that World Weaver will still connect when you land. So he bought as much time as possible, because Dooman Bro was sat with the ultimate waiting for that moment.
Inbound actually takes the World Weaver with that Whirlwind of Rage and Steel, uses his own immunity to make sure he doesn't get stunned out there, and tanks up for his ADC. Truly a wonderful play for this SPL level support here. Stuart sitting currently 2 levels up on his contemporary. Dooman Bro struggling to find the experience here, but the Eldritch Hounds definitely not struggling to find objectives as the second Pyromancer of the game goes down in their favor.
And that Pyromancer is kind of the answer to what happened off the back of that team fight, right? They couldn't do gold, but they will reset to the right-hand side where they know there's still respawns coming through, and they don't need that carry, who still needs farm at this moment in time. Dooman Bro, who's had a fantastic week so far, in all honesty, finds himself 2 levels down at the moment, and been very much a focal point, because you're dealing with Stuart, who's happy to just dive at you, because you can always get away using that ultimate that Jingwei brings.
Absolutely, yeah. And you know what? Dooman Bro isn't afraid of stepping up in these late game situations, so I don't think he's too worried about being behind for now. Just so long as he can catch up, and he doesn't stay behind too long, but currently he's at half HP, has to go into the Tooth Pool to avoid out the Whirlwind of Rage and Steel. Scary D taking a little bit of damage there. The taunt isn't really going to connect thanks to the root from Erupt Crimson. He's going to stay just there. Does take a healthy amount of poke, though, as the Solar Scarabs look to start up the Gold Fury.
Love what Scarabs did there, though. Didn't continue chasing the Hounds the way the Hounds have been chased a lot when they've had this Baron on their team. Instead, they fall back and go, you know what, Hounds, you've got to fight us here if you want to get in here.
And Stuart jumping up through that Whirlwind. Quick finds 3 with the taunt, and straight away Circle of Protections lands on the ground, trying to find the damage. Quick jumps back to his ADC, interrupt Crimson, the first to kick off the party. Baronic falls down, and now Scary D looks like he could be the next target, but Oath falling down low, trying to find the damage. Quick, one shot on him as well, and Stewart's gonna find that one. 2 down for the Solar
Stewart.
Scarabs. Can they find some more aggression? Dude Man Bro into the tooth pool. He goes, and Stewart falls down. Scream finds Dude Man inbound. Is going to fall down for 4. Scream, the only man left on the board, and Eldritch Hounds should pick up Gold Fury.
Yeah, let's just not stop dealing with this Baron, boys and girls. This Baron is causing so many problems when it gets to this sort of stage of the game. The reinitiation from Hounds over and over again, the extra sustain the game from the 2, as you would call it, really comes into play and causes constant movement speed increases for the team, but also the extra sustain that just comes through. It throws the Scarabs off on how low people are, and then they've overextended too much where they get punished because Oath goes unchecked for a majority of that fight.
The 2, of course, standing for 2 words, those words being Consigned Spirits.
Yeah, thanks for that, by the way, production, for just helping Blazy out and learning his abilities.
I appreciate that. I need to do my homework. I've got flashcards.
But then again, where has this really started out? It started on the right-hand side of the map for the Hounds, and it's continuing now to flow to the left-hand side. The focal point from Scarabs was Stewart, and even though Stewart is still 4-3-3, we're starting to see that the Eldritch Hounds have already taken 1 or 2 members out before we can see Stewart find that wiggle room to weave in there, to avoid the ultimates and the relics that are available to the Hounds to try and initiate. But as soon as he does, immediately Hounds collapse on in. They focus the carry, take him away, and it's only tanks left over for Scarabs to try and defend.
The Eldritch Hounds now sitting on the precipice of a potential victory over an SPL team. 1 game in this series could put them in a really good spot and give them that momentum they need to follow through and win the series. But at the moment, it's going to be the Solar Scarabs, 5,000 gold behind, starting up the Fire Giant, but scratch that, they're looking for Quick. He's going to get pinned out. The dash luckily available for him, and that is going to sign the retreat for the Solar Scarabs for now.
Yeah, this was kind of a check from Scarabs of like, where is everybody? Did anyone go to the left-hand side to farm buffs or continue farming up on the duo side of the map? Or can we start this FG and go unchecked? A few teams so far have found a sneaky one now and again where teams have just gone back to farming after an initial fight. But what you're finding there is the Hounds are just positioning well. Notice how that the way they came to the pit there, they really just sent Athena in and everybody else was just on standby duty in case there was a big engage. For the most part, both teams just wanting relics back more than anything else. Neither team will be happy with the relic situation at the moment, specifically the Scarabs, whose beads are down on 4 of their members. And quite important with these Athena taunts, with these Consigned Spirits, and obviously the amazing coffin ability that comes into play, you really need those beads available.
Beads are coming available on the right-hand side, though. Eldritch Hounds, only 1 player not having that cleanse ability. Inbound, gets taunted back in by Quig. Well, luckily for him, he doesn't have too much follow-up on the back end of that Confound, so he's going to be fine for now. The Fire Giant not really being tested too hard by the Eldritch Hounds. They really want to pick before they commit.
Yeah, there's a little bit of bonus gold potential available for Scarabs just to even things up. That tier 1 tower in the mid lane is the biggest point I want to mention there. Just because Eldritch Hounds have that in the back already, it's still available.
Gets hit by the Spirit Ball, and that could be some follow-up. The blink forward from Inbound, trying to find some aggression, but a little bit of hesitation from the Scarabs.
You get really excited too quick on
Sorry,
those.
I did it like he got stunned.
They've all got 10 billion HP these days, dude. Like, come on, dude. Like, Rebekami as well, of all people. That guy's going to live forever.
I'm sorry. I saw something was going to happen. I thought I should pick up on it. Stewart picking up on Quig, but Screen here in the mid lane looking to fight Oath, but Stewart's going to come over and support his jungler. Meanwhile, Inbound is going to be the first casualty of this engagement. Over the wall goes Stewart. He's still looking for Oath, but blinking forward, looking to find Scream, and he's going to get his target. Baronic.
Wow.
Able to find one despite the circle of protection. Scary D falls down. Hindu, this could be the first game an SCC team takes away from the FPL.
Okay, well, listen, they've got a good lead. They've got a good lead, right? They're still against the Scarabs, who are one of those teams that will drag you out of Phoenix potentially if they need to, okay? But going back to that fight there, you've got Stewart and you've got Scream battling 2v1 against Oath, and Oath lives there. The rest of the Scarabs are fighting against 4 and get decimated because of it. You've got to find that kill on Oath. You don't find that kill on Oath, that's the mistake Scarabs make there, and the Hounds open the door, get an FG, get the Pyro, and it's time to shred more towers.
Rob Crimson already takes the tier 2 over here on the right-hand side. 3 structures remaining now for the Solar Scarabs, excluding, of course, the Phoenixes. Those last bastions up against that Titan. The Eldritch Hounds have a fair amount of time to play with. 3.5 minutes here on that Fire Giant, and they have so much on the map that they can pick up. That Gold Fury should also be spawning within that time frame, so that's going to be a primal for them, which if they don't feel comfortable enough going for an end during this Fire Giant will help them on that next FG push.
For sure. When you get the Fire Giant, though, you can see at the top left, it's a power play situation. Try and get as much farm as you can or end the game, so to speak. Already taken into account, I mean, the Hounds have a ridiculous amount of sustain in this composition just because of that Baron. But adding the fact they've got an FG buff that's going to be helping with that too, it's going to allow them to take down 1, 2, if not 3 towers, and maybe be a bit cheeky and steal away that Trebuchet in the jungle too.
Moving on to the left, tier 2. Soul Scarabs don't want to put up a fight on this one, and rightfully so. It's only a tier 2 tower here. 26 minutes into the game. It's not giving you too much value. Oath pushing up through the middle lane by himself. A classic 4-1 split, just to try and split up the attention of the Solar Scarabs a little bit so they don't have to go for that full 5v5 underneath the Phoenix. The wave is pushing in here, and look at already damage. Blinks forward from Inbound, but everyone has some sort of answer to it. And Inbound's going to get no value for the Whirlwind of Rage and Steel. The Phoenix still at half HP here, and now there's a lot more that the Solar Scarabs have to contend with. Inbound nearly falls down, and the Eldritch Hounds should be able to walk in. Two people taunted there from Quig. Stewart loses half of his health bar, and Scary D looking to do a little bit more damage. But the Eldritch Hounds aren't done yet, and Scream's gonna fall down before he's able to channel off his ultimate. Baronic right behind him, and that's gonna be even more kills for the Eldritch Hounds. Scary D able to answer back one. Dude Man Bro is gonna take a spill, and the Eldritch Hounds are going to back away for now. They've taken just enough.
Yeah, I think they could have backed away a little bit earlier there. They got greedy for more kills and trying to rush out the end of the game using the FG. That causes Dudeman Bro to fall. After that first little pick there, could have been a good rotation to mid, keep the pressure rolling. Might be a bit trickier now that they're not going to carry here, but here we go again.
Quick dashing forward. Stewart loses his health instantly up into the coffin. Goes Aramikami, picks up the ADC, and Scary D falls down too. Ladies and gentlemen, Inbound falls, and SCC draws first blood.
They do draw first blood, and it was a great game from the right-hand side of the map, developed to the left-hand side. Dudeman Bro's job that game was tread water and not die too much, because he was able to capitalize off the back of the Baron, but more importantly, Oath in the jungle, who had an absolutely amazing game there. That was some fantastic Nemesis play. The 2v1 in mid really opened that game up with like Hounds are fully in control now. That develops the Fire Giant. That gives them the window, and now they find themselves one game away from moving on to week 2 and eliminating the Scarabs in the process.
It's a huge power play at the moment for the Eldritch Hounds. They're riding high in spirits as well. I mean, look at the room. The booth, when we just saw the player camps, the booth just erupted. Oath stands straight up. He's got that power hoodie on. He's been wearing it all week. It's seemingly really working out for him.
I mean, you get a bit of flow going to yourself. We're playing so many games. Those guys were playing from Thursday this week all the way through to Sunday now, whereas the Scarabs coming in a little bit cooler, and they're starting to feel the burn a little bit there. What I'd like to see from the Scarabs, though, for Game 2, bit of adjustments towards this solo lane and jungle meta that we're seeing on this right-hand side, right? If you're going to give us some pressure there, let's develop it more on the left-hand side. That's where they struggled for me.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, will the Scarabs be able to answer back, or will this rolling stone of Hounds keep on rolling? Find out after the break.
You're running for that man, but he had the horsey, and horsey, don't you stop! Final kick, a final kick!
I gave up dabbing for Lynn.
Cool. No more dabbing for final. He looked at me and said, I'm going to be on that stage next year. I'm going to become a world champion.
Ripping through! Titan down 4-3! A double kill myself!
Welcome back. The SCC boys are looking a little bit different, right? You might be thinking to yourself, what's elevated their gameplay? What pushed these SCC kids to the next level? And I'll have you know exactly what it is. It's the Alienware PCs. We are thrilled to have Alienware partnering with us again here in Season 9. All the players in studio and at home are playing on Aurora Ryzen R10 PCs for the top of the line, cream of the crop competitive experience. Give them a follow on Twitter at Alienware or head over to alienwarearena.com for giveaways, product features, and more. But I'm here on the desk with Trelly. Relly couldn't possibly do it alone. Trelly, the SEC won, man.
They certainly did. They took game one. They if you're the Solar Scarabs, you got a fire lit under you now for sure.
I think so. I mean, that has got to be such a wake-up call, right? The Solar Scarabs struggle a little bit up against the Valhalla Valkyries. You can think to yourself, well, that's another SPL squad. They've been playing against the best of the best this entire year as well, so maybe just a bad day. But now, match point tournament life on the line, and the Solar Scarabs struggle. But it was a contentious early game, back and forth. But around that 15, 16, 17-minute mark, it just felt like the Hounds weren't going to lose a team fight.
Yeah, they were playing this global comp so well, splitting up the members of the Solar Scarabs, where Quig was able to make these massive rotations with the Defender of Olympus, and then also Up Crimson says, hey, I've got World Weaver from wherever you are, even if you think you're out. There's a few times where Scream like Dove and was like, I'm out, 1 HP, still died to that ultimate. And then Remakami had like a nuts stat line as well, getting a fair bit of these kills. Just everyone looked so solid. And it was that part of the game where I feel the Scarabs have always crumbled a little bit in the later stage, where after like 20 minutes plus, they can't seem to get their team fight down.
Yeah, the Scarabs felt like they were lacking a little bit in initiation, or when they were initiating, it was offbeat. It would be Scary D going in, finds a 3-man taunt, and looks around Travolta style, like, where are my boys? Or it's inbound, going in with a washing machine ultimate, and in the exact same situation. Whereas the Hounds, it was clear. If Quig's taunting somebody, they had a Spirit Arrow, a Nem ultimate, and the entirety of Baron Samdi's kit dropped on him every single time. Got to give some credit over to Dude Man, bro. Maybe his slash line not the best, but damage output certainly there. Remakami should be the name of the game, and I think he's probably earned himself a little bit of respect in this next phase of P's and B's. 7-1-9 on a Baron Samdi. That's not easy. That's an immobile mage.
Yeah, I don't think the Bakasura, I don't think you can afford to ban the Bakasura right now if you're trying to get rid of everything else, because Oath goes 7-0 on Nem. Like that's like a back pocket pick. At this point, throwing any of these bans Oath is probably not going to be your best option. Just accept that he's going to do what he wants and try to counter the rest of the draft here, because Remakami, top of the damage charts, a great stat line as you mentioned. So I wouldn't be too upset about maybe a Baron ban, something like that. I mean, the whole team just really came together so nicely.
It did. Just a couple of team fights. It's all it took for the Hounds to get their feet under them, and from there, just run away with the match. But the Solar Scarabs are veterans, and they're in the SPL for a reason. I'm expecting some pretty significant adaptations in this next phase of P's and B's. As you said, maybe don't ban out Oath. I mean, that's high praise. Not often are you saying, yeah, just don't ban this guy's stuff, because he's going to play something else at the exact same level. Maybe meeting up with the likes of Paul in that tier.
Yeah, I would say so, at least in this stage of the tournament, this early on.
At this caliber of play.
Yeah, exactly. At this caliber of play, I mean, Oath can go 3, 4, 5 bans deep and still find a hard carry available, I would say.
Let's move on into the picks and bans and see where those adaptations will lie. Maybe the Solar Scarabs shift up some of the bans themselves, or can try and pick away some of the Hound signatures. But it seems like they are going to stick with that Bakasura. Oath will dominate on Bakasura. I think there is a significant jump up in that he's just going to be farming the map so consistently. He's likely going to pull 1 or 2 levels in lead just because of that movement speed passive that Bakasura has afforded. But as far as team fight presence go, I've gone on record saying I'm not the biggest fan of Bakasura. I feel like he really does fall off against a team that is coordinated. Regurgitate only gives you like a second of CC immunity. How do you feel about that pick?
I think, for me, the Solar Scarabs just don't want Scream to get 1v1, and Bakasura is a pick that 1v1s just about anyone in the jungle right now, so take that away, and Scream can still get a little bit aggressive, maybe show up to the solo lane when these ganks come and fight after the fact. Baka's just one of those gods that farms very quickly, gets everywhere fast, and sort of just drops the goo and wants to fight anyone he sees if you catch out a solo in the jungle. So I respect that ban. They're going to ban away the Jing Wei this time, though. Not going to opt to first pick that one. given the way that the Solar Scarabs have been playing in their SPL season, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Morgan Le Fay come through, something interesting in the jungle, just anything right now to switch up the flow of the game, because right now everything is going the Hounds' way.
Yeah, Scream wanted to go towards the eclectic picks when his back's against the wall. Things like Morgan Le Fay, Poseidon, anything in the Assassin or Mage tab is free range as long as the Solar Scarabs are in the lobby. The Hounds will ban out Mercury, Kleena, and Bellona on the other end. Thought maybe we would see this. The Solar Scarabs will take the Baron Samedi for themselves. Ramakami just has too strong a performance for his squad, and the Solar Scarabs will use their first pick not only to get a priority selection, but almost acting as a pseudo fourth ban.
Yeah, you know, they didn't have to ban away the Baron because they had first pick, and they can just deny Ramakami that way. Athena will get through, though, and Quig had a phenomenal game, so hopefully the Solar Scarabs have thought about this and said, hey, they're still going to have that global pressure. They're still going to have that taunt engage. We have to figure out a way out of it. Geb comes to mind, a quick cleanse for that taunt, but not the way Inbound likes to play. He doesn't like to be the guy that sits back and peels. He really is trying to, you know, the things like he played the Amaterasu, the Erlong, obviously. Xing 10 that time didn't look too great as the game went on, so something that he can really get his hands dirty and get in the action with. We'll have to see. This Baron even could be in his hands, to be honest. More so looking in the solo lane as of recently, but we have not seen the end of the Baron Samedi support, I would say.
No, Baron, very adaptable, very capable of being that facilitator for his team or even primary initiator with that ranged root, with the ability to pull anybody in these combat situations. The Hounds, speaking of reprising picks, will take Nemesis in the second slot. Oath has a great performance. It's so hard to argue against, and similarly to what you were talking about with Bakasura, Nemesis is a god that doesn't really struggle in a majority of her 1v1s. That shield, very good in situations against assassins. Being able to shred defense means that you can even line up against warriors in the late game. Double dash means even if you are losing out on the fight, you will likely be able to escape. As Rom is locked in for the Solar Scarabs. A very strong scaler come late game, has good global presence as well, can start to apply some of that damage before a team fight starts. But generally you want to be able to facilitate it. And a very early Charybdis lock-in as well. The Solar Scarabs showing their hand in the top 3.
Yeah, it looks like we know exactly what kind of style they're going to be going for here. They aren't afraid to show their hand, though. Usually when we see this Charybdis mid, they pair with, like, in Oleron in the ADC, and Stewart looks so confident on that pick. This time around, he's not afraid of playing Rama either. Oh, man. I mean, like, that's a rough Crimson's Thoth, man. I mean, I'm shaking, and I don't even have to play against it. So we've seen how well he's able to pilot this character, and it certainly didn't get banned away. So again, the Solar Scarabs had to know this was coming.
They did. I mean, we had an interview with Crimson earlier this week, and he said, look, Thoth's great, but I think the real strength of Thoth is just how easy he is to play. I'm landing all my skill shots. I'm hitting people from further away than they can hit me. If Thoth is available, I'm going to take it. That is a verbatim quote from Erupt Crimson, and clearly rings true as he locks it in third overall. The Solar Scarabs will ban out Bastet and Artemis in the second phase. Kali and Fenrir from the Hounds, eyes towards the jungle trying to limit the Solar Scarabs. But you were hypothesizing that we're going to see something spicy from Scream. I wouldn't really say Kali or Fenrir fits that bill.
No, definitely not. I'm expecting to see a possible Chernobog, at least from Dude Man, bro. They've been going with this global presence so much, and a lot of these hunters, Jingwei, Artemis, Rama, Charybdis, all have been taken off the table, and I think that would be a good place to go. But I just think right now the Solar Scarabs have to go with something different, right? They have to change up the style. We've seen Scream, he's not afraid to play gods that aren't so, like, good, I would say, in the meta. Like, he's played Naja, and there's never been a Naja meta in, like, the past 2 years, right? So Thor could be on the table. Right now, we're seeing a possible Dodge G hover. A few solid matchups if you're looking Nemesis, no CCM Unity available. Thoth also going to have some trouble with that, and let's be honest, King Arthur doesn't love using his fully charged ultimate just for a dodge yield, so they are going to be thinking about it, and think about it no more. They're going to lock that in.
Yeah, no CC immunity for Nemesis, Thoth, King Arthur, all going to struggle against this pick, but the Ymir lock-in is the one I'm a little bit more interested in. Looking at the Hounds, the first 4 locked in have gotten no way to deal with that wall. Phantom Shell might be an early pickup dictated just by this Ymir selection. But my concern for the Solar Scarabs draft holistically, Trelly, is their ability to get to the late game. And every time you're running Double Hunter, it's, okay, once we group up as 5, we're shredding targets, so we can isolate individuals by using the Ymir wall in these jungle fights, but there are 2 side lanes that are going to be relatively exploitable for Oath on this Nemesis. Rom, a little bit easier to lock down, having all those ranged slows on them, can close that gap. Baron Samedi, very immobile. Ymir, very immobile in the early game. What are your concerns with the Scarabs draft?
What I want to see for the Scarabs right now is Scream shutting down Oath, saying, hey, listen up, youngin'. I've been around the block for a while. I'm tired of seeing you run these games. I'm the Daji up against the Nemesis. If you start Blink, you are my target, and I'm not letting you run around my jungle. Looking at the draft again, Ymir and Rama, I have to imagine Charybdis is going mid. We're not even going to analyze anything else. Right now,
why would we?
Yeah, Rama is on Stewart, and he is going to be in that dual lane with the Ymir. They need to get aggressive. Chernobog does not want to be ran at early. This wall is going to completely shut down his dash. He's going to get stuck in there, and then where's he go? So that's where you need to look at right now in that dual lane. Make sure Oath can't come over. Scream, you better join the fight as well.
So you're thinking early aggression, the name of the game for the Solar Scarabs, which would leave the Hounds to just withstand that storm. Late game scaling seems to favor their Hounds as well, considering Thoth does a lot of damage come late game. Athena going to act as that consistent initiator and only gets tankier and tankier as the match moves on. King Arthur, once he can rotate in, will be able to act as disruption factor for this team. How will the Hounds start to play around those early objectives, though? I'm thinking looking at this Solar Scarabs draft, once they are grouped as 5, confirmation from Ymir, double Hunter composition, should be able to shred them. How are the Hounds going to slow down the Scarabs?
I still think Final Judgment is going to be confirming Shards of Ice more often than not because
Fair.
You're not going to be building that damage, and you have to time it so perfectly for the full charge to get that damage. I think Inbound will be using it, but you just have to keep your eyes on Erupt Crimson. They can always show their hand because they have that global presence. Quick can say, hey, I'm over at solo right now, just kidding. I've arrived, and now you're all getting taunted. Stop the DPS on that objective, and there's a Final Judgment coming in to finish that one off. So you have to keep your eyes up. If the Scarabs are getting consistent picks, their objective pressure will be pretty solid, though.
I think so. The Hounds have got plenty of global presence to make sure that wherever the Solar Scarabs take that initiation, they will have a numbers advantage. The Hounds, that is. SPL team, now with tournament life on the line, could struggle here. Can the SEC confirm movement to the next stage? Let's get it over to the casters and find out.
All it's going to take is one more win for the Eldritch Hounds to secure their place next week and go on to face the pros. Ladies and gentlemen, can they do it? The Solar Scarabs, all to play for.
Really like how picks and bans went for the Scarabs this game. I think they did a really good job of looking at and identifying some of the issues, Baron being the biggest one in my eyes of how that was played. But more importantly, they also stripped away a lot of this AD carry potential as well from Dudeman Bro. He had to go deeper in his god pool for this Chernobog because of the Artemis ban away as well as the double Hunter pickup here. Looking at the compositions, though, honestly, Blazy, I'm looking at the Hounds in the mid lane as their strength point here. This Toth versus Charybdis matchup should be a benefit for them there, as Charybdis has to step up to the wave a little bit more, should be poked out, needs to be careful with his positioning. With these side lanes for the Scarabs, I feel very confident that they'll do well this game. Ymir and Rama together, they should have some early potency in this duo lane. And solo lane, no one's dying.
No, absolutely. Remakami, no way he dies here on King Arthur. Already going for that glowing emerald, so looking to get potentially, probably, a Stone of Gaia online just to make sure he's got plenty of heal. I believe that procs on Baron Sandy's ult, so Remakami should have plenty of health, and equally so, Scary D's got that Consigned Spirits that he will be able to heal off of. But as you said, this left lane should be a real focal point, and already Stewart getting super aggressive, rolling in on Dudeman Bro and taking him down to half.
Yeah, Scarabs kind of came out of game one and went, okay, we definitely made some mistakes. We need to adjust some draft. And I really like what they've done here. They've gone for a bit more pressure in these lanes. They've taken away some of the strengths that Hounds had last game and developed their own. Excited to see how this goes on, because realistically, the dual lane from Scarabs in the mid lane should be pretty low pressure unless they get aggressive early, which is what they're doing.
Crimson doesn't have the dash available to him. Leveled the wall, level 2. And now Baronic could be getting aggressed onto. Oh, has to dash away. The minions are gonna body block for the Hunter in the mid lane.
Really good identification from Scarabs. Oh, wait a second. Toth went for his wall over his dash. Punish that boy. And that's exactly what they did. Get aggressive, use that blink on Scream early. And now it's developing a situation in mid that you're not expected to see at this stage. Now there's pressure multiple areas of the map in favor of the Scarabs.
And so early as well, a minute 20 seconds in, maybe the earliest first blood we've seen all week so far. The Solar Scarabs capitalizing super hard.
And realistically, looking at Scream in the jungle, I've always felt Scream is one of the best junglers when he's on his game and when he's having a good game too. Getting the first kill under his belt compared to what happened last game where we saw him going 0-3, 0-4 before we found any sort of turnaround. This will give a bit more confidence to Scream now, and I want to see how he can use these parallels, because he's going to be an important player of burning some of these beats to allow these Ymir freezes and the follow-up damage from the coffin of Scary D to come into play.
And on Daji as well, what a character to get ahead onto. Look at that beautiful wall placement from Bobby to make sure Dudeman Bro can't get out for free. Stewart is going to take a little bit of damage in return, but he's going to be generally fine all in all. Oath, in the meantime, is going to invade the blue buff on right.
Yeah, I gotta say, Hounds, though, haven't really lost their pace on this right-hand side of the map, still keeping the pressure rolling there. But more importantly, reducing the sustain that we're getting out of Baron here. Big taunt, though, Stuart forced to beat.
That's absolutely massive for the Hounds over here on the left-hand side. Should open up a potential gank for Oath if he's able to find a little bit of space and time to come over here and look at Stuart, the purple buff being looked at by the Solar Scarabs, but some presence here from Quig should make them back off, and here comes a rotation in from Crimson. They might be able to find inbound, but Crimson doesn't want to make that full rotation. He could get caught out in the jungle here, though. Daji's doing the red buff. Crimson getting aggressive, looking at Scream, but not wanting to overcommit.
Yeah, Scarabs there invading purple and then red soon after, but that purple invade, look at how much respect Scarabs had there. Don't want to make a mistake again too early on in this game. They could have fully committed for that purple buff, but in doing so, they didn't have eyes on the jungler in Oath, and they had no eyes on Crimson in mid. So when two are missing, is it worth sticking around? Probably not. So they back away there. They realize they're still in a commanding position so far. Don't make a silly mistake by sticking around.
The commanding position is definitely the correct terminology. Nearly 1,000 gold up here. Blinking forward Scream once again looking to find Crimson.
No
up into
beats.
the power loud he goes. No beats, but also not too much follow-up in favor of Crimson. So Scream's just going to have to pull him back to the power loud and get out of dodge. Quig shows up and forces the jungler into a bad spot, but a rotation from Remakami could be continuing on this aggression onto Scream. He doesn't have anyone to get to until Scary D shows up.
And meanwhile, all the while in mid lane, you just got Oath covering the angle, but now it's Scary D who makes this rotation to support, has to use the coffin. He could go down here.
Potentially, Crimson is going to get chunked in there, though. A lot of damage picked up by him. Up into the Mao goes one, but Scream just barely gets away. Scary D is going to fall down on a big final judgment onto Bronic. With Oath right here should help secure the kill onto Charybdis.
Yeah, but the problem there comes Stems, and really, oh no, is he going to die? He is going to die. Quig will count on the kill on Scream on the right side. Scream lazy backed under the tier 1 tower, and Quig did catch him out at level 4. That all starts from Scream going aggressive against Crimson in mid lane. As soon as he uses that palo, he's out of position. What happens? Scary D, Baronic go, we've got to save our jungler! And in doing so, they both end up dead, where Scream could have got out. In the end, it cost him 3 kills off a very peculiar play around the mid lane.
Crimson gets caught out here a little bit by inbound. He should be fine. The ultimate is
Bobby could
forced away from Quig. I don't think Quig wants to get aggressive here, especially with Charybdis coming back to lane. Baronic there to support inbound. A curious play from Crimson. I'm not sure if he just didn't see inbound coming out of the jungle, or if he didn't have his dash up, or what.
I don't think he's worried about dying there against Ymir, if I'm all honesty. I'm pretty sure he's trying to just play around holding onto his beads. There's nobody else around other than this Ymir. The minion wave was in his favor too. If anything, I think Quig could have got aggressive there, so could Crimson, but they did spot Baronic, which could have been a turnaround play in trade for inbound there. So with that standing now and how the gold lead separation is, it is Scarabs that are controlling better majorities of the map. That play kind of slowed them down all of a sudden. I felt they were in a good spot after that first blood, but Scream just bought off more than he could chew and has now punished his team a little bit and slowed them back down a little bit.
And they have completely decided against continuing this aggression onto the left-hand side. The desk, the desk we're talking about how much pressure they should be putting onto Dudeman Bro here, how much Chernobog does not like getting run at in the early game. And so far, the Solar Scarabs have done it once.
I mean, it's hard to do it against Shutterbug in the early game. I mean, what are you going to do? He's going to jump in your wall if you're Ymir, right? Like, how are you going to really shut him down? If anything, what I'd be liking to see here is Hounds need to start grouping as 5 when they get opportunities with ultimates. Athena and Chernobog can both make these rotations and force a fight towards the mid lane. But then what I want to see is really Stuart abuse that situation of, like, can I take a tier 1 tower? Can I push ahead in the lead? Or do I make a late rotation with my snipes and cause a problem?
potentially. Look out for the 10-minute mark, ladies and gentlemen. That's when this Pyromancer is going to spawn, and that's when the Eldritch Hounds are going to start making plays. Jumping in, up into the Powwow goes Scream. Oath is caught out, so is Quig. Back onto the Powwow he goes, but Scary D could be in some bad positioning here. Scary D is going to fall down, but Inbound is going to find Oath in trade. That is a huge pickup. Scream gets picked up by Ramakami. Still looking for the Dashi.
Cherno's coming.
Quig's at half HP, and Cherno jumping in there, trying to find a little bit of a slow. Inbound surrounded by 4. Surely he doesn't get out here.
Good wall at the end, but it's still not going to be enough to prevent the damage coming over from Crimson. Now we see Stuart get a bit of free farm on this left-hand side because of this rotation. Hounds realistically can only maybe take a greater Scorpion. There's nothing else to really take on that side of the map. But notice what happens then. Hounds have been consistent on invading this blue buff, denying this regeneration potential from the Baron, and reducing the amount of sustain in the lane, which is forcing the lead. Not only that, the Scarabs were aware of it and sent members over. That's why Scream was hiding in the wings. They just got reinforced too quickly, the Hounds, and the Hounds end up punishing the Scarabs once more.
And that's the beauty of this double global ultimate rotation from the dual lane. Quig and Dudeman Bro can be in a fight just so quickly, especially compared to Inbound, who, you know, Ymir doesn't have really any options for getting around the map quickly. He's just got to power walk over to you on the other side of the map, and by that point, the fight's typically already over. The Solar Scarabs, though, as you did mention, Stuart was able to find a decent amount of farm on the left-hand side in trade. So not a complete wipe for the Scarabs. But now the Eldritch Hounds have a little bit of that momentum on their side. Still not really much to fight over, though. And that's what I'm concerned about here, Hindu, is that Eldritch Hounds keep on getting these fights, but there's nothing to get after them.
And what we're going to see now is Inbound's going to have to continue to rotate to this right-hand side to support the blue buff, but in doing so, he gets himself isolated there. 4 members again just collapse on in, find another pick, and the Hounds are just running the Scarabs ragged on the right-hand side.
But for what? Like, for Scream's ultimate?
I mean, it breaks your mental, dude.
Well,
it breaks the mental.
That's perfectly fair, but Inbound does have a pretty solid mental. Scream, though, run at by 4 people. He's going to fall down here. 1 minute remaining until that Pyromancer comes up. Eldritch Hounds sitting 7 and 2. I should mention, have been able to claim that lead back now. They've got about 300, 400 gold up from the Solar Scarabs.
And the desk was kind of talking about...
and at the moment, it's going to be in their favor.
Can you hear me? Oh, there we go.
There you go. Welcome back.
My mic just unplugged itself, dude.
Boronic in a bad spot. Quig's going to be right here. Taunts him perfectly. Interrupts Boronic from going into that Tooth Whirlpool, but I don't think anything's going to really come of it. Just getting some really solid poke onto Boronic.
I will say, talking about what the Death said earlier on about can these carries get to the late game, and this is one thing that the Hounds are doing a very good job of preventing so far. Scarabs get off to a good lead, but now look at the carry situation. They've not been able to get involved at the moment, and they're starting to find, can we even get to this late game where these carries become a potent factor? Because the other 3 from the Scarabs are struggling already. Scream hasn't found as much of a window after that first because he would have liked. And Inbound too, really having to put himself in positions not necessarily you want to be as a Ymir, but you have to be because you need to show some sort of frontline presence. Hounds haven't let off the gas is the biggest thing here. Keeping the pressure rolling and keep on ganking.
Inbound once again under some duress. Here comes Crimson looking to find some damage, and well, damage is exactly what it's going to find. Into the ice shards goes Inbound, but not going to get any value from it. Scream did just use his blink though, either to try and reposition or to try and find a different angle onto the fight. Eldritch Hounds going to take that 1 kill onto Inbound and back straight after. Still not finding so much value afterwards, but they are implementing the Ymir tax.
It is a Ymir tax. Well, it's not just a Ymir tax, too. It's kind of a Scream tax, it feels like. And also a blue buff tax against the Baron is going on. So it's really causing a couple of problems for me. I like the way Hounds are playing, though, continuing the pressure constantly. Now, Scream is on this left-hand side, and I want to see a play here. Is Dudeman going to be okay?
No, I'm not sure that he will be. Scream has made the rotation over. Quig has used the ultimate, and
still up
Dudeman
beads.
Has to use those beads. Is going to get shot down from the sky. Scream takes credit from that kill.
But what does the Hounds do in response? Wait, they're pressuring the left-hand side. Let's get this Pyromancer. So sure, they get a kill. Sure, they open the window for Stuart. But once again, the Hounds find an answer, and it's a better answer.
And Dude Man Bro is perfectly okay with that. We've talked about it game after game, but this guy is perfectly fine. He's chilling. He doesn't really mind being this point of aggression for the Solar Scarabs. It's all about what Oath and the rest of the Eldritch Hounds can do from that. As you highlighted there, Hindu, the first objective of the game, this Pyromancer that the Eldritch Hounds love to do so much falls down in their favor.
I want to potentially see when people go against the Hounds now, focus on this right-hand side more, invest a little bit more, because that's what they do. And now Scary's dead again.
Potentially, yeah. Oath could fall down in trade, though. That tower shot is just too deadly.
3 shots, that's all it took. I threw the shield as well, I might add. But he did get some farm as he died there. Did you notice he just hit those minions? Gets XP for that.
Hell yeah. He's going to get a little bit of value from that. And gets the kill as well, but he's going to lose that shutdown potential.
No, dude, no, dude. Big brain play there, because he goes back, he hits 12 because he clears those minions. He gets his second relic online,
right, of course.
And now he comes back even stronger.
Of course. Nothing to do with the, at that point, 3-0. Well, he was 0-1, and then he got 3 kills. So he did have that 3-kill shutdown bonus that Scary D will pick up, which will close the gap with Ramakami just a little bit. Not too much, though. Still sitting 2 levels behind. His contemporary is the solo laner. Meanwhile, on the left-hand side, we're seeing a level lead in favor of Stuart instead, as he's really been running this lane.
Yeah, if I'm Scarabs now, though, I'm kind of sitting back going, listen, let's just protect the Gold Fury. Pyromancer's down for a while. Our carries need more farm. So does everybody, really, on the map. Don't take these fights we don't need to. They are going to get aggressive, though, so don't be solo. If you're going to be there in numbers. We need to just continue holding the fort down, not losing these towers, and wait for a big objective fight around the Fury.
That is looking like what the Hounds are going to want to do next. Really trying to position themselves over towards this left-hand side. Quig and Dude Man Bro, Oath as well. Crimson making his way over. Scream already taking so much damage. Oath is forced to use the beads though, but Scream's health bar after what, 2, 3 auto attacks is nasty.
Yeah, beats Paolo though, or beats for the Paolo I should say. It's not terrible for Oath to take that trade, honestly, because it prevents that Paolo coming into play around the objective and around the team fights. It saves the beads for his teammates.
Yeah, that's perfectly fair. Doesn't have that available to him for now. And that does give Eldritch Hounds a small window of power play while Scream's waiting for that ultimate to come back up. And look at the rotation from Ramakami. Looks like the aggression here is what they're looking to do. Up into the maw goes the Charybdis, looking to try and save inbound, but there's no way you're saving the Ymir. Baronic surely falls down here as well, but the Whirlpool of Teeth should keep him alive for now. Scooped up by Ramakami. Down falls the Charybdis. Now Scary D looking to continue this aggression, but look from the side. Stuart looking to come through and shoot those arrows in.
And the overextension now, and the Scarabs may be able to find fair play. The snipe will connect from Stuart, and it will to make it a 2-for-2 across the map. Gold Fury is available here for the Scarabs. I'd love to see them rotate instead of going for more kills.
Absolutely. Stuart's already on his way over there, but the rest of the team don't seem to care.
Yeah.
They don't want to do it. It's just Stuart. He's like, guys, there's a Gold Fury over here. Why aren't we on the left-hand side?
I mean, realistically, between Bobby and Stuart there, I think they could have attempted that. Realistically, what was available for the Hounds to contest? Maybe they're so concerned about Oath being available in the game still. He's the real threat for me here, specifically with Crimson's ult being down. It's a lot harder for him to try and steal that away. You could have potentially looked to the Fury, but instead Scarabs happy with the result, I want to say, because it was a bad fight for them. They were late on the rotation. The reason they're late is because of the global ultimates, if anything. But the grouping from Hounds is just so quick at the moment that they're catching Scarabs looking to reaggress, but they're just not finding the right window.
Yeah, absolutely. And they did just stay a little bit too long there in that fight. Just the rotation from Stuart was so good. He finds a great angle behind 3 members of the Eldritch Hounds, and that one, those astral arrows just shred straight through all of them. Just does so much damage straight off the bat, then jumps up into the sky. The arrows onto Dude Man Bro. I mean, who survives that? Dude Man Bro certainly not. Has to jump into the wall, trying to spend some time while his team gets there, but there is no way out for DMB.
Love the confidence in Stuart there, just to roll on in towards Chernobog and go, guess what, Bait? I know you ain't got no beads, so we're going to take the trade. You're going to go in the wall, my boys will be here. And now they go for the Gold Fury.
Finally, this objective is started up. Meanwhile, Scary D is the distraction in the mid lane. They don't care if Scary falls down because the Gold Fury is the real objective, but it's not. Actually, the Solar Scarabs decide they don't want the objective. They want the fight. Oath nearly falls down up into the sky, and surely Stuart doesn't miss those.
No, he won't. And now Remakai on the front line and a lot of pressure on the King Arthur, but will be mobile to get away. Scream jumping to Crimson, but now Scream could fall.
That's the tower damage, baby. Stuart now retaking that tower. Crimson in a bad spot, but Bobby once again caught out. He's going to fall down. These towers need respect. You cannot dive them this early on.
No, and the other aggression from Scarabs, they take the Gold Fury first, right? If they take the fight in mid, maybe they get a fire giant
Blink
early
forward
enough.
from Quig, tries to find two. Baronic going to be the only man left locked down.
And now they lose gold.
And now
they
it's
lose
gold.
Yeah, but there's Hounds that are going to get it when the Scarabs could have taken it much earlier in this engagement. I would have been fine with Scary dying there in mid. You were right to call it. He was a distraction. But Scarabs got distracted by their own distraction of finishing off the objective. I think they should have taken the Gold Fury down, and then even if the fight goes bad, they don't lose a ton. No one's going to realistically attempt an FG at 15 minutes anyway, so why not just do the gold and go, okay, well, at least we have the gold lead after this fight goes either way. Instead, it's the Hounds with the lead.
Well, I mean, worst case scenario, they can finish the Gold Fury and then rejoin the fight afterwards, right? The damage that Scary D was able to put out in the mid lane wasn't nothing. The Eldritch Hounds would have had to have taken some respect to the Scarabs, but instead, as you mentioned, they all fall down. Now Eldritch Hounds find themselves with a pretty decent lead here.
You can really see the difference in facial expressions of these players too. Scarabs a lot more concerned, a lot more focused and dialed in. A lot more relaxed, it feels like, when I look at the player cams of the Hounds as well. Specifically, Doomman Bro versus Stuart was the most interesting one. Doomman Bro's chilling, and meanwhile Stuart very game-faced, very focused on, I have to carry my team now.
Yeah, you can see him. DMB, I don't think I've seen him all weekend not chewing gum while playing. It's almost sinful. The amount that he's been consuming. Scary D in some trouble. Up into the coffin he goes. Scream. Flicking over the wall there. You got to put some respect on those towers, Remakami. Has to pop the beads, but it's going to be Oath pulled back in. The damage from the towers is ripping through them, but it's going to be Scary for first.
Yeah, Crimson just comes around the corner in time to turn around and cause a problem. Will fire out that snipe towards Scream off the mark. This tier 1 tower will now fall down on the right. Meanwhile, on left,
he's 3 levels up. Stuart rolls straight in, and Doomman Bro forced to use the Aegis. If Stuart hits maybe 2 more autos there, goes up into the sky. DMB going to trade it out, though, but that is a lot of value. Jumping in. Look at it. He's trying to set up for Oath, who's coming over, but Oath decides he's not going to. DMB takes a little too much damage, and that's going to be quits.
And meanwhile, the Hounds on the right-hand side find that kill on Scary, now develop this into another Pyromancer, extending their goal lead a little bit more. Their grasp on this game is looking comfortable so far. Not really seeing Baronic get into the fray on this Charybdis just yet. I really feel he's done a lot of rotations to support, either been too late to the fray or not being able to make enough of an impact rather than not rotating. And now he finds this window again where Hounds are up with 2k, and once again, Scarabs really have to work out what they do next, because I think they did a really good job in picks and bans. They've just not executed in the game so far.
And you called it right at the start here, Hindu. The mid lane from the Eldritch Hounds has been so dominant. Erupt Crimson 5, 1, and 6 compared to his counterpart 0, 3, and 4 on the Charybdis. Baronic just not really able to find this same impact. And if we have a look at the damage, I bet you Erupt Crimson is either at or near the top. And well, I mean, 5,000 damage separating him from the next nearest competitor.
It's not over, though, if you're a Scarabs fan, if I'm honest. And a lot of times people were like, yeah, the game's done. Honestly, Stuart on this left-hand side, 3-0 and 2, 2-level leader here. And you can see his aggression is really punishing down. But he's got to be careful how long he sticks around for some of these fights. He's got backup, though. And Scream just dived in looking for the kill, and that might just cost him his life if the Hounds realize it.
Potentially, Scream is up here, and Stuart is going to be the point of interest. A beautiful freeze from inbound. He's going to shove the aggression on to Stuart, but he's up, he's down, quick, dashing in. There's going to be the Aegis, but surely one more attack should do it. And there's Erupt Crimson picking up the slack. Scream now could be the next POI. Oath is here, but inbound caught out by Remakami. This is surely going to be another death for the support, and there it is. Dashing forward is Erupt Crimson, looking to find someone. Is Scary D. He wants Oath, but Oath should still have that shield available, and he does. Scary D able to find one.
But the health bar is dropping quickly from the Scarabs now, and they're scattering around. Baronic's there to put Baron to the back, but Crimson gets a triple, and you know what? This could be a penta.
It absolutely could. Scary D looking to find it. Baronic still trying to continue this aggression onto Erupt Crimson. Here's setting up the wall. There's the dash. Quadra kill for Erupt Crimson. Remakami setting it up for the pentakill for the SCC.
It's almost like I could see it coming halfway through the triple kill there. Beautiful play from Crimson, but more importantly from the Hounds in general. And again, don't want to call Scream out too much, but his dash at that kill on Chernobog takes that whole tale of events that started with Stuart finding a solo kill against Duban Bro into a situation where the Scarabs are scattered on defense as the Hounds come back in, and it develops it now for a pentakill for Crimson and an FG at 21 minutes in this game.
And it's such a hard position for the Solar Scarabs to come back into this one. All the momentum in the world is behind the Eldritch Hounds. They've got a sail full of wind with a fire giant around their belts. This is looking dire for the boys in blue.
Now, the one thing the Hounds might get now is a little bit of jitters of, hang on, we're actually winning this. Hang on, we're about to knock the Scarabs out and go into week 2. Is this reality right now? And that's the danger point that can happen now and again here, where you have these situations. But here's a little look back at this whole pentakill coming through.
And that's going to be just look at the positioning from Erupt Crimson. He doesn't come into
Well, no one's been
the
checking
fight.
him, Blaze.
Well, exactly.
You know?
He doesn't come close enough
Doesn't
to
need
the
to.
fight for anyone to. And he's just going to sit here quietly while the rest of his team sets up absolutely everything for him until that second kill goes down. As soon as inbound is gone and all of that CC is off the table, Crimson has no problem going in and killing everyone.
Well, I mean, look at that. Charybdis in the backside. Baronic was just whacking him in the back, and Crimson's like, I can hit a few shots so far. You're not that fed to cause me a problem. Just be able to stay at distance the whole time, and then as soon as the Scarabs go, wait a second, this Toth is causing us a real problem here, boys. He immediately repositions and goes, nah, I'll just stay at range again. You're not forcing any of my situations here. I can play safe. Find myself an easy pentakill that was set up, honestly, as a team effort. It wasn't an individual play. But then again, finding a penta on anybody is not an easy task.
Absolutely. It's definitely a team-based play. And, I mean, if you want to look at the team, Remakami, 4-1-13 right now, able to get 2 big King Arthur ults during that fight really breaks down the Solar Scarabs. I mean, there's just a whole, 5 seconds where where 2 players, about 2.5 seconds each, taken completely out of the fight. How do you fight against that?
Well, I mean, at this point, it's going to be a bit tricky for the Scarabs now, too, because I'm looking at Phoenix defense, and in my eyes, I'm like, well, you know, this is the Scarabs. They are very good at turtling when they need to and drawing out the game, finding a window to get back in, and that could be a stumbling block for the Hounds here. The biggest issue is, can they get to Toth now? Because on this siege, Toth is going to be able to provide a lot of free poke. A lot of these characters that the Scarabs have to step up to this minion wave to clear it. And when they do so, Toth's going to be there just whittling them down. They've got Ethereal Staff and that Soul Reaver really going to shred those health bars pretty effectively.
Now it is all to play for. The Eldritch Hounds, a minute and a
Here we go
half
again.
left. Blinking forward is Oath,
That's
looking
a
to
problem.
find Scary D, and he's down before he can even make it up onto the coffin. Dashing forward, Quig, looking to find more aggression. Start off the mark from Baronic, but you know what isn't off the mark? The final judgment. Crimson finds nearly all of Baronic's HP, and that is going to clear the defenders from the Phoenix.
Don't know if you go for more than this in this middle lane here. I don't think it's time to end. Still a 4v5, but I would like the rotation towards left or right, and it's going to be the left-hand side by the looks of it. What can the Scarabs do?
They're walking through a choke point, though, Hindu. They're not going back through the door. They've changed their mind now as soon as I go to mention it. But I like this repositioning from the Eldritch Hounds. It would have been a really difficult position to get through on that right-hand side there. But now the Eldritch Hounds, they've decided they want to cool down the pace a little bit. They are splitting up. 3 people still staying by the base, making sure that the Solar Scarabs don't have enough space or time to breathe.
I love the call from Hounds, and the reason they're doing this, they're waiting for these fire minions to start trickling down mid lane again now, right? They're going to group up towards this left-hand side, force this 5-on-5 once again. Remember, beads are down as well for Scary D on the front side, and he's the one that can realistically step up to this wave, put some pressure on it to stop it getting to the base. Hounds are just waiting for their right moment to engage, or they're going to just strip the jungle. You know what? Let's just spend that gold in hand.
All to play for now. 2 Phoenixes remaining. And that's all that's going to be separating Eldritch Hounds from a potential ticket into next week to face the rest of the SPL. Can the Solar Scarabs hold on here? Hindu, you've just mentioned that they've got good potential at turtling up, and as the first Fire Giant fades from the Eldritch Hounds, what is it that the Scarabs need to be doing to get them back into this game?
Well, I mean, realistically, the best thing they could do is have a 5-on-5 where there's not a late rotation in from someone from the Hounds, right? You split the map apart. Hounds are really good at grouping up because they've got these global rotations. If you're a 5-ball death ball as the Scarabs here, you're a bit more of a threat in my eyes than you are being, you know, kind of spread out across the map. So maybe look for clearing out the mid lane. It's the easiest one to really keep pace of here. I wouldn't mind seeing a bit of a Fire Giant contest out of them. Force Erupt Crimson to use his ultimate here, potentially to secure an FG, which means that big burst isn't necessarily available. Allow these carries to whittle down the health bars. Group as a unit. I've not seen it happen yet from the Scarabs. They've been very discombobulated. It's not their fault. They've been just outnumbered every single fight by the Hounds.
So they do have a lot of good space control here to poke out, discomfort the Hounds, and even out-secure the Fire Giant in potential. Stuart's ult comes to mind,
Yes.
as does Scream. Scream can really stop the Hounds from feeling safe around this Fire Giant if he can place that Powwow well, and if he can find a couple sets of beads from this red team. Oath hovering
sneaky,
towards the left-hand side. No shot. He goes for the left Phoenix while the Fire Giant's just about to spawn.
Honestly, the call is anyone going to show up in left? I can take a 1v1 is what Oath's really after there, but realizing no one's around, he could go for a Phoenix. And Hounds might just bait the Scarabs in, because maybe the Scarabs, as I've been saying, group as 5 now and try and contest this FG. But in doing so, Oath's like, let's do a 1v1, guys. I've not got a Chernabog. I've not got an Athena waiting in the back pocket if I really need them, boys. You know, like, come stop me here and we'll get an FG.
But that's not what's happening. Oath has instead forced 4 members of the Solar Scarabs back to the left-hand side, and that's going to give the Eldritch Hounds this Fire Giant 100% off.
But Blazy, you have to do that. You can't leave Oath. If you send one member back, Oath has 2 other members with him, technically. He's got Athena and he's got Chernabog. It'll be a 3v1, and you would lose a Phoenix. You have to send more members back. Good play from the Hounds. They're strategizing really well here.
I'm not saying it was the wrong call to do. It's just, as you said, an excellent strategic move from the Hounds. They 100% know the Solar Scarabs cannot afford to give up that left Phoenix. And, you know, it's a case of, okay, do we give up the Fire Giant or do we give up essentially the game at that point? And it's, well, Scarabs, they want to hold on for a little bit longer. They've still got a lot of room to play with here, though, Hindu. Even though the Hounds have themselves the Fire Giant, Middle Phoenix is coming back up. There's only a couple more waves that are going to come down from that middle lane. And there are still a fair few defensive options from the Solar Scarabs.
There are that Middle Phoenix coming up, very important for them. The one thing I'm noticing, though, is that gold lead, normally you don't necessarily get to see it as much. Look at the item differential between mid and jungle specifically. 6 items deep, 5 items deep between the 2 pairs. Scarabs are behind and they're fighting disadvantagedly with those items too. I want to see exactly how Hounds play this next fight out. What I would do if I was a Hounds probably is have Oath go mid lane. At the moment he's gone to the solo side, take that tier 2 tower, reduce his protections of FG obviously by doing that. And again, we can swing the fight in 2 directions, and the Scarabs have to pick a fight to engage on. It should be left-hand side they fight.
And Oath's more than happy to take this fight so far away from the rest of his team, because worst case scenario, Quig can go over to help him, DMB can go over to help him. He is so safe on this right-hand side, and at the moment, no one wants to check him. Scream's the only one nearby. Oath is chewing through that Phoenix, but he's not doing it fast enough, so going to be fine. Scream has plenty of time, but that is a half-health Phoenix now on the right-hand side.
Meanwhile, mid lane still has some fire minions pouring down there, though. That's the pings going down from Hounds going, wait for this minion wave, wait for this minion wave. When it gets there, we fight. Keep an eye out now for when Hounds engage.
And there it is, pushing into that middle Phoenix. The Fire Wave is going to have to force some attention from the Solar Scarabs if they don't want to lose it. Oath still hanging around here on the right-hand lane, looking for that right wave to push into. But look at this. Hindu, no one's going towards the middle lane. Scream's here on the right-hand side, and the rest of them are over there on the left. This is basically an admission, but Baronic moves over, and now the Hounds are pushing in.
But now the defense was good from inbound there. The wall was good on the backside, but Remikami goes up and down, doesn't get a whole ton of damage. Left-hand Phoenix does fall down. Not too brutal from Scarab's point of view now. They want to recollapse if they can, but the damage done by the Hounds. Remember, that middle Phoenix being up, unfortunate, but it's weakened anyway. So it's a lot easier to walk in and take that second time around.
Absolutely, and that's what they're looking to do potentially here. On the right-hand side, still Oath. He's still more than happy to force Scream over to this hand side, especially when Quig ults onto him. Scream in a world of pain, but Oath taking a couple Phoenix shot. That's not going to be good for him. Ramakami straight into the backline, looking to find the damage onto Scream. There's going to be the ultimate. Down falls 1, but Ramakami should fall here in trade. The Phoenix on the right-hand side still has HP, but now it's gone. They have a little bit more room to play with. Getting pulled back in is Quig, but Crimson kills one before he hits the coffin.
What's going on in mid lane, by the way, real quick? Oh, yeah! Oath just manages to take down and walk into mid lane because Chernabog rotates over and he'll end the game and advance the Hounds into next week.
What an unexpected moment. Eldritch Hounds, they might... I don't even know that they lose the fight over there on the right-hand side, but regardless, Oath wins them the game and will make sure that the Eldritch Hounds knock the SPL team, Solar Scarabs, out of the running.
Got to give credit where it's due, though, to the performance and more importantly, the composure of the Hounds there in that series. Because that game there, they got an early lead because of a couple of mistakes from the Scarabs in the jungle area on the right-hand side of the map. But instead of like making a mistake and having a nosebleed about being in the lead at that stage, really capitalizing it, play the map effectively, split the Scarabs apart, force them into situations they don't want to be in. And now they find themselves into week 2, and the Scarabs are going to be watching from home.
Just pure smiles across the face of the roster. A little bit of jitters, I think, there from Quig. His hand's a little bit shaky, but this team just truly so happy to move on.
Not going to lie, though, I said it at the start of this, I really do feel that team of the Hounds has a lot of potential future players of the SPL. Do they stay as a team and make a run next year? Do we see some of these potentially get picked towards the end of the year? The SPL likes to spice up 1 or 2 picks as the time goes on. We'll find out.
We absolutely will. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it here from the caster desk. Let's throw it over
There's
to
no
the host.
desks, dude!
There's a desk. It's an invisible.
The desk is over here. I don't know what Blazy Bard's on about. Maybe just swept up in the hype of that match. The Eldritch Hounds eliminate the SPL team to progress. And I had heard rumblings from the fans at home once we saw Oath during the SPL play-in saying,
right,
look, I'm not going to try. Look, I might be able to do it. I might crack into the SPL, but I want to take a break and hone my skills in the SEC. Clearly a talented enough squad that they could have potentially made their way in, as they are able to knock out the veteran talent. Trelly, how does it happen, man?
Yeah, their anime training arc is over. A lot goes to do with their confidence, I feel. They're the #1 SEC team coming into this tournament pretty hot. They've been beating on essentially everyone else, whereas the Scarabs were, bottom of the pack SPL, haven't played in a good bit, maybe coming in a little cold. And the Eldritch Hounds came out swinging. Obviously, it's very easy to just highlight this Erupt Crimson on the Thoth pentakill.
Please do it.
Yeah. He went nuts, of
Go
course.
on.
So there was lots of setup. Obviously, your tanks were playing so well for you. And Oath was not afraid at all. Like, even late game saying, hey, I'm going to split push. Go ahead, 1v1 me. I don't care. Taking these fights. Understanding that, hey, if I do fall, Doom Bro's got my back. He's going to fly in. Quick also could show up at any time. Great draft, and they executed it so well.
Man, it's just so impressive to see a team from the SEC perform at this level of team play. Rotations on point. First rotation over to the Soul Lane. Quig's level 4, and he's still forcing out Scream on his own. Don't need the global presence if you could just walk on your feet, and that's exactly what the Eldritch Hounds do. Just composure, composure, composure. You heard Hinduman bring it up briefly. No nosebleeds with their lead. They held on to it and did not go for the risky plays. Maybe one stumble here or there, but the Solar Scarabs were not able to properly optimize on it and give the Eldritch Hounds just enough space to do whatever it is that they want.
Yeah, you want to talk about stumbles. For me, this game really fell apart right before this Penta fight, the Gold Fury pull before, where it looked like the Scarabs were going to get it for free. Scary D says, hey, I'm going to run at them and I'll distract. Surely you guys get Gold Fury. They started doing that, and they're like, hey, let's all run in and save Scary. They don't save Scary. He goes down. Then Scream dives under tower. He dies. Bobby's like, I'm coming too. He dives under tower. Doom flies back in, and then it says, what were they fighting over? Why'd they chase that? And that after that fight, it was just completely done for me. I didn't see any way that Solar Scarabs were going to come back in. Stewart was ahead, but it was just they didn't do much off it.
Gotta give credit again to Erupt Crimson. Not just a pentakill, but a phenomenal slash line and 35,000 damage. Quig has the nearly perfect support stat line. Only drops one death, but 1-1 and I believe 18 to end this game. Look, the Hounds clearly came to play. They clearly are playing their best and have had the opportunity to practice throughout this week, where maybe the Solar Scarabs come in a little bit colder, but we can't make excuses for the SPL veterans. We're not going to do that. This is the SEC taking out the SPL, and we're going to check in with one of the pivotal players. I think I've got Dude Man Bro here. I don't know how they let you back on the mic, man. Be honest with me. Were you expecting this victory?
I was actually expecting us to beat the Valks and get in. But,
wow.
But yeah, I don't know. The Scarabs just didn't show up, I guess. I don't know.
Is
or we just played out of our mind.
Hey, which one is it? Did they not show up, or did you guys play out of your mind? Speak
we
your
played
mind.
out of our mind.
Okay.
Not me, but my boys did. My boys slammed them.
They really did.
Uncontrollably. Without their permission.
Well, explicitly without their permission. Yeah, okay. Well, of course. I mean, it would be collusion otherwise. Allegedly. Dude, man, bro, tell me what this means to you and the team, right? I know that all of you had aspirations for the SPL, but decided to skip out on the plans and instead now have made your run to the SEC undefeated in the regular season, coming out to land, taking out this SPL squad and advancing. It's got to feel great.
It does feel really good. We actually, this was our goal the whole time, just to get to to playing like versus the Leviathans and the Onis or whoever it is. Yeah, I don't know. Wait, what was your
I'm with
question?
you.
I'm sorry.
Look, bad question if you can't remember it. Tell me this: between the Leviathans and the Onis, whose heads are you after first?
Leviathans. We gotta take down Fat Man.
Oh, would you call him?
Fap.
Oh, I thought you said Fat
The
Man,
Fat
and I was
Man.
like, oh goodness.
He's the GOAT. We gotta take him down. Like
Well-
if we can take down a 3-time.
surely you're the GOAT, right?
I'm the throat goat. Trello.
Get him off the mic. All right, we're done. No more interview for Dude Man, bro. That's on me. Look, I made it happen, Shirley. I mean,
You set him up for
I
that
set him
so hard, bro.
Look, it's good air.
I suppose.
What an impressive showing from the boys, and clearly riding a high right now. Just
No,
great energy.
When he walked in, I felt confident, and it was just...
Bro, he
swag walked in.
dude.
He did not care. He gave us good, honest answers, and then said, yeah, the world champs, that's who we want. What else? What next question?
God.
He didn't hesitate.
No, not once. Dude Man, bro, not one to let up an opportunity to sing his own praises, I suppose, and the praise of his team. Just so impressed by the Eldritch Hounds. I didn't think they were going to make it. I'm going to be completely candid. I thought this was going to be SPL just making their way through the bracket real casually, but it wouldn't be Smite without an upset. Trelly, what do you even say about something like this?
I truthfully thought the Hounds would take game one, come out swinging, and then the Scarabs would be like, okay, we messed up, time to adapt, and we saw a little bit of that, just a small bit of their adaptations, a small bit of them on the come up, and then they just decided to shut that down, and their late game looked just flawless play.
So now we get to take a look back at the bracket and see where we landed and how we got here. The Valhalla Valkyries very easily advanced themselves out without dropping a single game up against the Solar Scarabs, and the Eldritch Hounds do the exact same just about, except for that first match up against the Valkyries. Since then, after tasting defeat just once, did not want to do so yet again, and will advance to week 2. So it's the Valhalla Valkyries and the Eldritch Hounds moving on. And, well, it seems like the Hounds have got their sights set on the world champions. We'll see whether or not they will have that opportunity to line up against those with the 3-time, the new ring wielders, the ring bearers. Yeah, that's it.
The ring bear.
The ring bearers.
Yeah. I mean, they do have the rings, and they have been fumbling a bit. So we'll have to see if they've been using this off time to, make a little bit of a comeback. 6th seed, I believe, are the Leviathans at the moment. So, that could be. I'm not going to say that they're.
Are they kicking them while they're down? Is that what the Hounds are doing?
My point is, setting your sides on the 6th seed. Usually you want to. I want the Jade Dragons if I'm the new guys on the block, right?
No, not me. If I'm in the SEC, like,
I mean,
give
if
me
you're
the Valks,
radiating
give me
that-
the Scarabs, give me those guys. Let me work my way up. But you're right to say the Jade Dragon's looking very hot right now. I am so excited to see how we move on. The Eldritch Hounds obviously deserve all the praise that we can laud upon them. But that said, we have to give some shout-outs to the Solar Scarabs as well. Unfortunately, they will be going home. This is the last you'll see of them in this event. But individual players looked good at times. I mean, Stewart in particular, there's no more memes. I don't want to ever hear ever again from any caster on the mic, is Stewart an asset or a hindrance? He tried his best. That was like prime Nico when the Oni Warriors were struggling, just trying to drag his team forward, but just wasn't quite able to do it.
I was unaware of that meme. I've seen it a few times. I didn't understand. Stewart's.
Oh, that's before your time, isn't
Yeah,
it?
clearly I'm just a young gun, I suppose. But
Well, not that young.
okay, well I'm going to ignore that and just talk about the fact that Stewart looked good, and I feel like he always has been. He's been a very strong asset to the team, and maybe it's just a little bit about the new meta here. I don't think it really favors the magical ADCs that Stewart likes so much, the Olerons, things of that nature. So no skin off his back. He tried his best.
Look, I'm going to try and close us out a little bit quickly here, as we have had just an incredibly long week. But make sure you tune in next week to see the continuation of this tournament. From myself, Trelly Relly, and everyone in production, thank you very much, and until next time.